Welcome to Monday Night Comics. Welcome to Comics with Dan. I am excited to be back streaming again. I'm trying hard to make sure I get consistent with this and make sure I'm streaming on a regular basis, so it can just be kind of a given on Monday nights that I'll have a show. But sometimes things happen and it just doesn't always work out that way. But thankfully it worked out that way today. And last week I had a really big show. I had like 30 comics on the list of books that I was looking at. And this week, it's not quite 30, but it's still quite a bit. So, and this has to be one of the biggest pull lists that I have. And like, some people will laugh at this because like this might be what they get every week, but like I have 9 books on my pull list this week, which is crazy. Especially if they all show up. But throw a banner down here. One of the things that I want to make sure that I talk about, and that's why I put it in the title, is that we have a new DC Marvel crossover installment coming through. So I'm pretty excited about that. I'm going to be honest. I actually enjoyed the first one a bit more than I thought that I was going to. Especially like the very beginning, the actual like Batman Deadpool story, because it was Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo, and so it honestly felt so much like I was reading like that new 52 Batman run. So that was pretty cool. So I imagine that we'll hopefully get some more cool stuff. I mean, Grant Morrison and I think Dan Mora are doing the Batman Deadpool story in this one. They work together on like Klaus or however you say it. I haven't read that yet, but obviously they're both very talented. So yeah, so let's jump into the list here. So like I said, so we have Batman Deadpool number 1, right? Which it's the second installment. The first installment was Deadpool Batman. And so I want to see if we can track down some of the stories here. The Cosmic Kiss Caper. Okay. And Batman Massacre. Oh, it's just a different language. Okay. Cosmic Kiss Caper. So this is the Grant Morrison, Dan Mora. We've got Batman, Deadpool, Eternity, and Kismet. And I bet we have some preview pages. Yeah, we'll look at some preview pages in a minute here. Okay, so like that's to be expected. A magician walks into a universe. My guess is a Zatanna book. So this is Scott Snyder, Josh Williamson, James Tynion, Hayden Sherman, Mike Spicer. Oh, Doctor Strange and John Constantine. That's a pretty cool combo. I mean, I haven't read a ton of Doctor Strange, but yeah, I think that should be pretty cool. Sticks and Snicks. That okay, so it's Tom Taylor and Bruno Redondo, and it's going to be Nightwing and Laura Kinney Wolverine. So I know obviously Bruno Redondo and Tom Taylor worked on Nightwing together. I'm guessing that they worked together on a Wolverine book, a Laura Kinney Wolverine book. So should be pretty cool. Mariko Tamaki, Harley Quinn and Hulk. I mean, I could see that going one of two ways, right? I mean, I think overall, I mean, that's a solid creative team, so I think it'll be all right. New Friends and Old Places with G. Willow Wilson. Miss Marvel and Static. That's interesting. Okay. And then we have people complaining about Batman. Although it's interesting that says it's interesting that there is no Superman or um, Spider-Man. I don't think Spider-Man was in the other issue either. Let's look at some previews here. The Cosmic Kiss Caper. Once upon a would you just imagine. I don't really care about those. I mean, I might need to go back and read Mariko Tamaki's Detective Comics run because of Dan Mora's art. He does such a good Batman. We got Batman, and Batman is rocking the new, right? Obviously not new, but the return to the blue and gray. So that's pretty cool. Oh man. Jeez. All right, so we also have John Constantine, Doctor Strange, Nightwing and Wolverine, Harley Quinn and Hulk and Miss Marvel. Okay. Wow, they have a lot of preview pages on this. Why do they have so many preview pages? 16 preview pages. Oh. I'm not sure that I'm going to enjoy that Harley Quinn one. Oh, this is Hayden Sherman. Oh, there's Swamp Thing. Doctor Strange. And there's Bruno Redondo's Nightwing. I'll have to look and see. I don't know if Bruno Redondo worked on Wolverine or not. It's kind of cool to see him back on Nightwing, though. Dennis Cowan. Nice. Okay. Well, let me know which of the crossover stories you're most excited for. If I had to pick out of these, if I had to pick all of these, I mean, the Nightwing and Wolverine one could be pretty cool. That's probably, if I had to pick one, it's going to be that. That would be the one I'm most excited about. Okay. All right. So, Blood and Thunder. I read a bunch of these the other night because I finally got all of like the ones that I was missing. I had read issues 1, 2, and 3, and I was waiting on number 4 for a long time. And I finally got number 4. It came, and then I got 4, 5, 6, and 7, kind of like in quick succession. And then just like sat down. It was basically like in 1 or 2 nights and read through all of them. I reread 1 and 2 and 3. I hope that they keep this going for a long time because it's just it, like a lot of Kirkman stories, it feels like a bit of a slow burn, and I'm here for that. But I feel like there's so much to explore with this. So like at the beginning, the premise is that like they live in literally a layered society. Like, let me see if I can, hopefully they have previews of issue 1. I don't know how long they plan on this series going. I know it's supposed to be, they don't have it. I know it's supposed to be an ongoing, right? But Um, but yeah, so like they literally live in a layered society, a tiered society where people that live on the top of this like stacked planet, people that live on the top are the rich, the wealthy. They literally like they even get like gorgeous weather all the time. They don't grow crops up there, so it never has to rain. Like, um, and so, and as you go down, the worse it gets, right? And like, blood is going on these like adventures trying to like capture this alien, and we haven't seen that tiered planet, whatever it's called. I can't recall. We haven't seen it since like the second issue, right? So I do hope they come back to that at some point and explore that a bit more. I feel like the possibilities for this are massive. Um, and like to me, like as someone who just read the beginning of Invincible, and like I like it's different than Invincible because it's not like a superhero thing, and so it probably won't get the same amount of pull. And I recognize that what Invincible did for the non DC and Marvel superhero genre was incredible. But like to me, there's no reason that this shouldn't or couldn't be as every bit as good as Invincible was. So um I really enjoyed it a lot. So um yeah, so the thing is I don't recall if I read this or not. I feel like I might have started it. Yeah, I did. I did read some of this at least, but oh, what the heck? Okay. Um, yeah, I'll have to come back to that at some point because I'm not sure. I'm not sure kind of what's going on with that. Now, I didn't add everything that I read. This is a little bit out of order. So I did read X-Men Raid on Grey Malkin. What did I rate that? 4. Yeah, that's fair. Um, it was a pretty cool story. I mean, it didn't do anything outrageous or incredible. It was kind of like a fun, I wouldn't even say fun. It was kind of just like a raid story, you know, and um uh like the cover makes it look like there's some big showdown between um Rogue and Cyclops, but there's really not. I mean, there's a little bit of one, but uh, I mean, I don't know. I think that Jed McKay and Gail Simone are doing a good job of essentially developing a post Krakoa um, atmosphere for the X Men. Um, the only thing I would say about it is that I just don't know that they're leaning into it enough. I get I get the feeling from both books that the mutants are not liked. But what I would really like is to get the understanding that they are like completely feared. Like for example, like when the first preview for Gail Simone's Uncanny X-Men came out, um, they were, I forget what the symbol is. It's like supposed to be like, or something like that, for to like say like, hey, I'm a mutant, like, and like people do it back to show that like there's someone safe that they can be with. Like that looked like crazy, but the the way that it is, the way that the book actually is, isn't as, it doesn't feel as dire of a situation, right? Like it feels like, yeah, they might be. like bullied, or they might be made fun of, right? Which obviously aren't good things, but it, I never really feel like they're all in that much danger, um, just for being mutants, right? Obviously, they're in danger when they're like fighting and stuff like that. But like other than that, like I like that Rogue is like kind of the focus of this, or of the Uncanny X-Men piece. This is just called X-Men, but it's a crossover volume between the two, right? So we have X-Men 8, 9, and 10, and Uncanny 7 and 8. I actually already own number 10, and it's a fantastic Cyclops issue and a fantastic Cyclops cover. I'm going to pull the cover up just because it's awesome. It's like one of the best covers ever. So, um, yeah, but I mean, like overall, like not too bad. And Kid Omega's growing on me quite a bit, and like I don't think they ever really call him Kid Omega. I love whenever he calls Cyclops Slim all the time. It's hilarious. But and like truthfully, the younger um mutants that are joining up are kind of cool too. So I could see this, going for a while. Obviously, it'll go for a while. It's X-Men, but I'm meaning I could see it being a decent run, right? And what I will say is, even though all the branding and like like marketing for the series, for all the series, was very like nostalgic based, like they wanted you to look at it like the '90s X-Men. Um, I don't get that feeling from it, like at all. So, and maybe that's why some people might be disappointed with it. I can't say for sure, but what I would say is that if you're worried about it being just harping on nostalgia, then I wouldn't worry too much about that. So, I read Justice League Red. So I would really love for this to present itself as a really big point in the DC universe. I don't think it will. I think it's meant to be a side story to give some characters some page time. Um, but like in reality, like if they made like Red Tornado turn heel, like not even on purpose, like just the whole like sentient AI thing. Like part of this issue was him talking about how he forgets what it's like to be human, which I think is such a cool idea, considering like he started out as like, oh, he doesn't have his regular like android body or whatever, and um, and so he is like running operations for the Justice League, and like that's a really cool idea. But now Ahmed is exploring the downsides of that, like the negative impact, and I think that like there's obviously something real weird going on with this, right? It's not what he says it is. Um, I would love for there to be just like this building and building and building to like some big event like next year that just like is the Justice League versus Red Tornado, right? Um, and like I feel like they could do that too because DCKO will be over before the end of the year. And like if I recall, they did Dark Crisis, and it led directly into Lazarus Planet, and Lazarus Planet was better than Dark Crisis. Um, and then I don't know if they did the same thing with Absolute Power or not. But it's yeah. So I hope that they keep this going with Red Tornado. I think this could be something really cool. Not to mention the fact that like Cyborg's really cool in this. I've never read anything with Simon Baz in it before. So now what's really funny to me is like people keep putting Red Canary in these like in books and like on covers and stuff like that, and she doesn't do anything. Like she still hardly does anything here. Um, I just think it's funny. So um, yeah. So Yeah, this one's good. I forget what's next here. Number 4 is going to be that's this week. I guess I must have that on my list over here if it's this week. Yep, there it is. Okay, sweet. Well, that's exciting. I'm excited to check out issue number 4 of that. I sat down and reread the first issue of that as well because I finally pulled all those together. So, I also read The Incredible Hulk number 5, volume 5, not number 5. Volume 5. And it was pretty solid. Like Nick Klein is great and Danny Earls is great. Which like it took me a really long time to figure out that Danny Earls was like the soccer player Danny Earls. Um, which is cool. But but uh, um yeah, I mean just kind of a lot of fighting. Um and so like the one thing I will say, and like I was reading this and I messaged Frederick Horning on Instagram and told him like, hey, like you need to pick up a copy of this because the transformations that both Bruce and Charlie go through in this book are they're just too good, right? And he would appreciate them more than anyone because that's like his bread and butter is are these like monster like creature transformations, right? Um and so like if you like good art, like this is an easy pickup. And like Philip Kennedy Johnson, like he's one of my favorite writers and like it's solid. It's not like I don't think it's as good as Batman and Robin, and it's definitely not as good as his Superman War World. Um, but it's like it's still a solid story, right? So, I mean, I'd still recommend it. I'm going to keep going with it, and then so like Volume 6 comes out, The Monster Road. I wonder if this is like supposed to be the end. It goes from 26 to 30. It releases in January. Yeah, I believe that that's probably the end of it. Yeah, because then it's the like the Infernal Hulk or whatever. So that's interesting. So okay. And in addition to that, which is not on my list here, I read Sonic the Hedgehog. Actually, I can just pull it right up here because it's on my pull list, and like we finally caught up. Um, so oh come on, there we go. So we read 79, 80, and 81. 78, 79, 80, and 81. Um, but this book right here was the final like culmination of like the whisper and mimic like showdown, and it was so well done. Like I felt the tension while reading the book. It was so good. And so I highly recommend if you've read any Sonic in like the last couple of years, like this is a good one to pick up for sure. Um, it's such a great um, comes to a T there. Uh, so number 80 was pretty solid. We get some Shadow, which we don't get a ton of these days. And still no Knuckles. Like my kids pointed out that it's been like 30 issues since we've seen Knuckles. And then we get kind of the start of a new story here, which is like it's like this carnival and this like troupe that's apparently stealing Chaos Emeralds, but obviously is doing it for someone, I think. And really, I think that I still think it's Starline. I still think that Starline's behind this. Um, there's to me, there's just no way that he's actually gone. I feel like he wasn't around long enough, and yet at the same time, I also wonder if how much more story there is left for to tell for Starline. So I could be okay with either one really, but yeah. So we read this, and we are finally caught up, and we'll be pulling number 82 this week. And let's look at some previews here. So we jump back to Evan Stanley, which is interesting because I think that Ian Flynn only did a couple of issues recently. And so okay. I don't want to read too much because I don't want to reveal anything ahead of time. It could be good stuff. The arc looks peak. Yeah, so Sonic is on the list of what's coming up next week. Let's look at what else is coming up this week. World's Finest number 45. So I am particularly excited about this because I think it's the first in what I believe to be two-part arc that is called The Merger, and it's basically what it's going to lead up to, I think, in the next issue is going to be like how there was an amalgamation of Batman and Superman wearing a Green Lantern ring. They're going to do something similar with Joker and Lex Luthor, which I think is a cool idea. I'm all for it. All right. And right out the bat, we've got a dinosaur in the Batcave. And then Batman and Superman watching football in the Batcave. That's funny. This is great. All right. I'm very excited for this. It's known. Hopefully forever. There we go. Yeah, I mean, I hope it lasts forever. I don't see why not. Okay, now this one's, I'm wondering, and if anyone watching knows, I feel like I must have added this on another stream, and then like all of a sudden it came time and it's coming out next week or this week. And so it looks cool. I mean, I like the cover a lot. But yeah, I mean, it looks like it'll be cool. There's no preview for it. I think it's just going to be a mini series. So I don't really know what it's about. From the dynamic creator Tyler Kirkham comes a thrilling new action hero, Tommy Brazen, and final boss. Get ready for an over-the-top adventure. It's a high-octane nod to the classic action stories. Trying to forge a new path, Tommy uses his newfound powers for various paid enforcer gigs and street fights, only to uncover past former companies. It seems like a straightforward story. It doesn't seem like anything that's gonna blow you away. And so here we have the Dreadnought War. And so G.I. Joe shipping every 2 weeks is interesting. And awesome. And I also like the Duke and Cobra Commander team up. They like had their really big showdown. That's the thing about these books, with the exception of Void Rivals tends to do it with the Transformers anyway. I just don't know these characters well enough to get excited about stuff like that. So, thankfully, I don't feel like G.I. Joe has leaned on it too much, even though Transformers definitely has. But I guess we'll see. I find it really interesting that Olivia Pierce is dressed up kind of like a Nightwing. And called Birds of a Feather is great. That's a great play on words. Let's take a little look at the preview here, because put Dexter Soy on a Justice League book. Do it. He needs to be on one so bad. I just think he's so good. In the infirmary, just a kid. I mean, jeez Louise. I got to pull out that annual again. Why is she dressed like Nightwing? Not Dexter Soy is incredible. Let's take a quick detour and see what else he might be working on. So he was on Mortal Kombat. He was on Batman and the Outsiders, Red Hood and the Outsiders. Not a good way to sort this, is there? No. In the app, you can look at like a timeline, so you can see like what they have coming next. Yeah, we're going to be looking that up later. Maybe I'll make a list. So, yeah, I mean, this issue looks like it's going to be crazy. Did I read the last one? Yeah, I read it and it was great. Okay. Nothing wrong with that. What else do we have? There's Nightwing. Space Ghost number 5. We already talked about Sonic. I am caught up on Space Ghost, and I can't believe that I've been missing this. Like the villains that David Pepos is pulling out from the Space Ghost lore is crazy. I didn't even believe they were real Space Ghost villains. I looked it up, and they are. And he turns them into these actual menacing villains, right? So, like, if we go back, we have a few things here. If we can, feuding between the Crystalline Empire and the Kingdom of the Space Sharks. I mean, how absurd and awesome does that sound? I mean, do we have? No, I don't see like a listing of characters or anything. But like those two villains are fantastic. Tarko the Terrible, he's like this Viking that is just like brutal and ridiculous and awesome. And so, not to mention the fact that after we finish this little two-parter, we're gonna get a space ghost vampire story. So, which I think is going to be pretty cool. I mean, that's a great cover to begin with. I'm assuming it's him, base vampires. Yes, please. Like, all right, let's finish these up. Try sharing your screen again. Okay. Okay. We're at to kind of run through these quick just because I think I'm kind of losing connection here. But yeah, so we have Space Ghost number 5, right? That's coming up this week. Very excited about that. Superman Unlimited number 7 coming out this week. Seems like a pretty like standalone, by itself story for that's like set in Smallville. So that should be pretty cool. I'm pretty sure that's Jonathan Kent on the front, and there's John Kent back there, Steel. I'm guessing that's Lana. Yeah, so that'll be cool. I'm wondering if Superman will be in it at all. And somebody badmouth and Raphael Albuquerque. This is extremely exciting. I'm always down for more Dick Tracy. I do need to catch up, though. I don't think I read number 13. And so I think that the story looks pretty good. I talked about this one last week, and so these are. So sorry, I think I fell behind here. Yeah, okay. So Dick Tracy 14. That the final order cutoff for that is tonight, right? So throw that on your pull list if you're interested there. This has the final order cut off tonight. The new Space Age, and it's written by Kenny Porter, which is easy physical issues or do the digital subscription and then the trade paperback. So, but I think it's gonna be great. The art looks pretty cool in the front too. And then also final order cutoff tonight, we have Space Ghost and Superman Unlimited. Like I said, it's likely to be a standalone story itself. I don't think, like, if we look at the next one, yeah, introducing Antimatter Man, which is awesome. The first chapter of a special 2-part story. So Space Ghost number 6 is standalone. So if you're looking to get into Space Ghosts and you like vampires, you can do it this way. There you go. Do that. Yeah, I mean, I guarantee that's going to be a great story. This looks great. Out of My Way Soups. This is a job for Guy Gardner. It's a great cover. As with most of these Superman Unlimited books, they've been fairly self-contained. I'm really looking forward to this one. I think it's going to be great. The dynamic that those two have is incredible. This looks like it's going to be a Christmas present. Final order cutoff is next week. Red Hood versus Joker. This is another Jorge Corona cover. I like that he's doing all those. I mean, I think it makes sense that these two are going to fight. I mean, not that it hasn't already happened a bunch of times, but I'm looking forward to seeing how it is, especially if they're just going to take it and, like, within the confines of the tournament, are they actually going to be able to die? I think it'd be interesting if they had, like, Jason Todd kill the Joker, thinking that the Joker wouldn't actually die, and then he actually dies or something like that. I think that'd be kind of a cool twist. Uh, um, but overall, that's probably one of the ones who the most of all of the DCKO books. So, um, okay, yeah. So that's what I have on my list here. Um, you know, I feel like I feel like I had a lot more to talk about, but I mean, we can always just kind of circle back on this Batman Deadpool one more time. Um, just because I think it's going to be I think they'll be pretty cool. I mean, so, like, let's look at some of these covers. Dan Moore wraparound variant. I wonder Clay Man. That's pretty great. That's also Dan Mora. Doom and Joker. Okay. Lee Bermejo. Mark Brooks. Jim Cheung. Those two were in the last one, but not this one. Amanda Connor. Nick Dragotta with Absolute Batman and Punisher. I wish that would actually happen. That would be wild. Jenny Frison with Storm and Wonder Woman. That's a great cover. She does really good covers. Andy Kubert. What is it about that Robin costume that's actually pretty cool? Like the all yellow hood. Jay Lee. Jim Lee. That's pretty great. I may have to go with that one if I see it at the store. There's something weird about that. Their heads look like they're floating. It's weird. Bite me, fanboy. Sean Murphy. Frank Quietly. That's a great cover. That's a good cover too. I don't know if I would go with that one, but the Batman one I might. Very nice. Hayden Sherman. That is also a very cool cover. An homage to the Hulk. Batman laughing. That doesn't make any sense. Suzumaika. Dan Mora foil variant. Blank. Impulse Creations. Dan Panosian. Oh, and then Deadpool ripping up a copy of. That's funny. What's interesting, those are retailer exclusives. I'm honestly a little surprised that they're not doing a. I'm surprised they're not doing a like a blind bag for this. I would have figured after how successful the other blind bags have been that they would do one for this. So, but okay. Well, I believe that's all I have for tonight. Let me know in the comments if you're pulling any of these, which of the stories you're most excited for in Batman Deadpool. I'm excited for the big week, and it does feel good to get caught up on some books like Blood and Thunder and Space Ghost. So, Yeah. Um, Thanks for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe. It helps get the word out on the channel and helps it grow. Um, keep an eye out for other videos that I'll be posting, and check out all my other reviews that I've done, past volumes or past episodes of Monday Night Comics. And let me know if you like what you see. So thanks so much and have a good evening.